in a workout, my right shoulder clicks
Hmm.
and it hurts. And I didn't know it at the time, but later I found out that a chunk of that bone growth had actually broken off inside of my arm.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk. This is where we have uncomfortable conversation while wearing the world's most comfortable underwear. You can pick some up in the link below. I am joined once again by the illustrious Eli Coffey, who can deadlift, what was it, 700 something pounds?
That was my best gym deadlift, yes.
God bless you, sir. Like, man, look at this guy. 700 pounds. So, pick us back up. You're at a training seminar for a posing seminar.
Yeah, for a bodybuilding show. Yeah.
So take it away.
So, like I said, the powerlifting event was not enough entries. So the lady that I was with at the time, she suggested that I try that. We seen that there was a new class I didn't have to pose for due to my shoulder issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it was men's physique. They were in board shorts. They weren't posing. So I thought, okay, so we go to Mobile and for this seminar. It was being hosted by the promoter of the show. And he has all of us in there and he's kind of going through things. And at one of these seminars, they'll critique and they'll adjust, show you ways you can make it better. Not always the best physique wins, but sometimes it's the person that displays their physique in the most flattering manner. It's like your car may be faster than mine, but if I drive mine better than yours, I can win the race.
Exactly.
That's kind of the idea. You hide weaknesses and try to display strengths, etc. So, and after the seminar, the promoter pulls me aside and he said, "Have you competed before?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, you're an athlete of some sort. What have you done?" And I said, "Well, man, I was just lifting and I've been involved in martial arts and stuff for a bit, but that was it." And he's like, "Well, who's your coach?" And I was like, What do you mean?" And he said, "You don't have a coach?" And I was like, I don't understand. Like, there's coaches for this?" And he said, "Well, yeah." And so we discuss things, and he offers to help me, and he does. And he's a very old school bodybuilder, and he's well into his 50s at this stage, but still a very big guy. He offers to coach me, and so we're in prep. I think at this point maybe we're 9 weeks from the show. I start checking in with him and sending progress pics, my body weight, all these things, and he's laying out my diet and everything else. And so that's my first taste of what prepping for a show or anything is like.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a very old school mindset and understanding of everything. I am working at a gym in the town that I live in, and he's in Mobile. And out of nowhere one day, he's like, "Well, if you ever wanted to work here at this gym, we'd be happy to have you."
Mm.
And I was like, "Really?" And I seen this as an opportunity to. It's like, well, if this is what I want to do and work with clients and
Mm-hmm.
train people and so on, then this is the best gym that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
So I can learn a lot here. I'll be the smallest fish in this pond, but that's fine by me because I'll get to learn more.
Yeah.
So, um, so I packed up and just took off from Mobile. I put in my notice and just like, okay, let's go, see what happens. And for the first while, I was staying in an extended stay hotel.
Okay.
So I've got like whatever cooking utensils that are there, and I'm boiling my rice in the same pot, and I'm boiling my chicken in the same pot,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've got some broccoli, and that's what I'm prepping on. And so I hear a lot of times people now they talk about resources or everything else, like as far as, well, I don't have time to do this, or I like for it to taste this way, or I like to do this. And it's like, man, like my first prep, I was eating friggin' boiled chicken, boiled white rice, and boiled broccoli almost every single meal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you ain't got it so bad, bro. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're good.
I'm
No,
pampered. My wife cooks such good food.
man, that's the thing. My fiance helps me with all that. Yeah. Um, but early on, I learned that it's seldom a lack of resources and more often a lack of resourcefulness.
Mm.
And
Oh, let's just pause
but
there. Say that again.
a lot of times, almost always, it's very seldom a lack of resources and more often a lack of resourcefulness. It's
Love that.
what are you willing to do?
Yeah.
What are you willing to do? What are you willing to sacrifice?
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, like
Yeah.
that's just it. You can have a lot more than you've got now, but it's going to require sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned very early on. And so I thought, well, if you're telling me that all I got to do is just eat this and not cheat on this, it's fine. This ain't so bad. Like this, I mean, nobody's trying to punch me in the face or hold me down and choke me. Like I just got to not eat pizza to walk around in my underwear. We got that. This no
Yeah.
problem. We're good.
Yeah.
And so anyway, and I'm doing my cardio outside. And when he finds out the area that I'm staying in, and that I'm out there doing cardio stuff, he gives me a key to the gym. And he's like, just come in here early and do your cardio. Apparently, it was the best area. And now I'm getting to train with him and learn more about lifting. And having thought I knew quite a bit about it, like now I'm really seeing like, oh, okay. And I get through that prep and I compete in my very first show in Mobile and do fairly well. I think I took top 3 in each of the classes I was in.
Goodness sakes, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And this is not the outlook to have for anybody listening that wants to do a bodybuilding show. Please don't think this is correct because it's not. He's like, well, you can do novice. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to go against the guys that are better. I don't want to be valedictorian to summer school, man, which is the absolute wrong outlook to have on it. And I tell all my guys that too. And it was foolish.
Honestly, though, like it seems like it takes a certain kind of person to want to compete against people who are better than you. Like, you don't have a snowball's chance in hell.
Well, the only thing is, like in a case with bodybuilding, it is always subjective at best. So bodybuilding, first and foremost, is judged on your structure, your silhouette. So if we were to draw an outline around you, do you look like the silhouette of what we think this class should look like? And the closer you are to that, the better you'll do. If you have 2 people that are very similar, then conditioning and everything else comes into play. But, and I was ignorant to all that. I had no idea. Had I done the novice stuff, I would have won because I beat out the guys that done that.
Mm-hmm.
I would have gotten more stage time. I would have got more experience. A lot of those things, which would have, given me more experience, allowed me to, be more understanding of how things work.
Okay.
Just any extra time there would have made me a bit more polished of an athlete going into a second or third show.
Okay.
But anyway, sometime after that, a good friend of mine, he was managing a gym back up here. And he's talking to me and he said, man, I really think you do well up here. He said, nobody here is doing what you're doing. He said, I think you do very well. Thought about it. And, the lady I was with, we agreed, okay, let's try it. And her pushing me to do that was life-changing for me. So I'll always appreciate that. We came back up here and I did a second show. And for this one, I worked with a coach whom in the coming years will have Olympia winners under his tutelage, and a very exceptional coach. I was able to learn a lot there and then continued to improve my placings. Took 2 years off to grow and came back and won overall at Mr. Kentucky in men's physique, and then did some national shows, switched gears and did WBFF, which is like a cross between modeling and bodybuilding. I was able to win Mr. Boston, become a pro, and was set to do their Worlds, which is their Olympia. And unfortunately, COVID hit. All that got canceled. And then the last show that I did was in 2021. I won the Knox Classic and then took top 5 in the North Americas afterward. And the feedback was they wanted me to do bodybuilding. And I couldn't pose for it. Because my shoulders, I couldn't move my shoulders in those positions. Right back to the drawing board. What do we do now? Because I don't want to not compete at something. So I never really put myself, a full year of training toward a powerlifting. I'll just try to build more tissue. So, and then the bone growth in my shoulder actually broke.
Wait, so you've been alluding to your shoulders not moving. What's been happening over the years to where now it's like, oh yeah, by the way, that bone growth in my shoulder. Like, wait, what? Bone growth in your shoulder?
So when I was about 16, I had a shoulder issue, and I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis and degenerative joint disease. And so everything I did, I had to be mindful of my joints. And I know that seems kind of crazy to get involved in jiu-jitsu and all these things. I didn't realize then the extent of it and what it would become. In hindsight, the training and the strength training and so on probably helped me prolong the need for shoulder replacements. The more muscle you have around a joint, the less stress and potential stress you have in that joint because you have tissue around there that can help bear that load. So for me, even though I couldn't move in certain directions very well with my arms, I was still able to build tissue, and it caused me to actually develop a very, very, very good understanding of body mechanics because I was working with limited ranges of motion, but yet I was still trying to build a physique that was competitive on a intercontinental world level with limited range of motion. So, like when I won Mr. Boston in WBFF, we had to wear a suit for the awards, and the expediters have to help me put my coat on and fix my collar because I can't reach it.
Wow. Okay, this bone growth breaks.
Yeah, so osteoarthritis, you'll have osteophytes grow on the bone, and the bone itself will continue to grow. Like, so you've got like in your shoulder, you've got like the saucer where the bone sits. That's the glenoid fossa,
Yeah, yeah.
and the bone growth around that made it almost now where it was like trying to put a square peg in a round hole.
Okay.
And so I had no external rotation, and in a workout, my right shoulder clicks
Mm-hmm.
and it hurts. And I didn't know it at the time, but later I found out that a chunk of that bone growth had actually broken off inside of my arm. So I just knew that whenever I would move certain movements, something would catch. And
Ah.
like it was very painful. It was, when that happened, I was probably 238, 239,
Mm-hmm.
with pretty low body fat,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 7% or so. So at that time, I was carrying a lot of muscle on a 5'10" frame. Um, and that's when I was, like we were talking earlier about the numbers and so on. That's when I was my strongest. So in 2023, I was talking to a friend of mine, and I had trained him at one point, and he is an optometrist, and his brother is a um, orthopedic surgeon.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we were talking, and we started discussing my joints and so on. And he said, "Well, surely by now something new has came out." And because the traditional replacements were like 25-pound max, lifting, moving, and stuff, just because of the risk of upsetting that implant. Well, we started looking, I find a particular procedure, and these people were back to lifting and back to doing pull-ups and everything else.
Dang.
And so I just make a post, and a guy that I had helped years ago seen that, and he actually contacted a friend of his that he knew. He worked for a company that made the implants for the surgeries, and he said, "Yeah, there's a great surgeon in Cincinnati." And that same day, I get a call from that office, and we set up a consultation. So I go up there like the following week, and the particular procedure I was looking at still had an inlay in the glenoid fossa. Like the old one, they would actually plane down the entire glenoid, put a big onlay on it, drive a stem down the length of your humerus, put a whole new ball on it. So it was you lost a lot of bone in that procedure. This one, the one I had seen had a small inlay, so it was much less, and it was a stemless replacement in the humerus, so you didn't have that big stem in there.
Wow.
Well, he actually told me about a newer procedure that had neither an inlay or an onlay on the glenoid, but they just resurfaced it to marry the ball, and it's called a ream and run procedure. And we talk about it. I get the CT scans of my shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
They get the insurance to okay it. Like, so from the day that I found out about it, 3 weeks later, I'm getting my arm cut off and redone. And so
Now,
yeah,
how?
so they started.
Never mind. Let's not get into the gory details. Sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, so they completely replaced the right. They replaced the right shoulder. Um, Within about 5 months, I can kind of care for myself with that right arm. So then we do the other. So I had both shoulders totally replaced within about 5 months of each other.
Wow.
And yeah, and then the shoulders are done better. I'm able to move, in the coming year, better than I had in the last 15 years. And then so my other joints are starting to kind of feel everything now. Like
Mm-hmm.
um, the the arthritic issues have, my lumbar spine, cervical spine, knees, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And so once again, I'm like, all right, well, what can I do? So I just thought, well, there's a million excuses here, but I would rather find a way. Like, let's see if we can find a way. And so on the particular podcast that I co-host, we had a gentleman on there, and he briefly went into one of his clients doing stem cells. So I was like, okay, so we talk about it. I talked to some of my clients that I knew had stem cells, and I find a clinic that I felt best matched my needs in Bogota, Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
So April of this year, I flew to South America and had stem cells in my cervical spine, lumbar spine, both hips, both knees, right ankle, both shoulders, right AC joint, intravenous and intrathecal into the spinal fluid. And yeah, and because I guess, with the arthritic issues and the joint issues, it had led to degenerative disc disease as well.
Dang.
And so a lot of the movements that I had done with lifting were very painful. And now I'm approaching 4 months post, and I'm back to squatting, back to deadlifting, and shoulders are still feeling better. So, um, it's for me, you look at a lot of things and you see a lot of situations are less than ideal,
Mhm.
and but I've found a lot of times, man, life seems to be about 10% what happens to you, 90% how you deal with it.
Yep.
And the people that I work with that are looking to me for guidance, it's like, how can I tell them to push through something if I'm not willing to? And
Mhm.
because I believe in leading from the front. And so any of those opportunities I got to try and improve or try and open my window, um, you know, and God's put me in a lot of situations like that to where I was able to improve, and I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed. And so now that I'm feeling much better, I'm able to train again. I've gotten more time in with jujitsu and so on again lately, and very happy with all that. And I'm back to lifting, closer to what I was prior to the issues worsening. I'm able to do movements now that I'm not done in the last 10 years.
Dang, I bet that's a
Um,
great feeling.
Man, it's being able to fix my own collar or get something off a top shelf.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's times that that I was going through all that. I'm like, man, like I don't, is it worth it? Is it,
Mhm.
you always have those voices in your head, but I just always felt like I was compelled to, to do this and keep, if for no other reason, than to maybe try and inspire somebody that's in the same situation as myself.
Mhm.
Because I know when I was looking and I was in some of those situations, like trying to get my shoulders fixed or anything, it's like if I could have found somebody that had done that and was doing well after, man, I would have loved to talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so even on my Instagram and everything, I try to make posts, follow ups, and so on with
Mhm.
how things are going. Just to, and I've had people reach out to me. Like I've had shoulder issues, and I'm worried about getting them done. And I can count of 6 off the top of my head that have now had shoulder surgeries that have reached out to me and talked to me prior to doing so. So it's given me a lot of insight, on these things that I feel compelled to try and use to, if I can help somebody else with it, I'm thankful to be able to do so.
Yeah. Man, okay, guys, we got to pause again. But we're going to come back for one more part because this is such an inspiring story, just like even to me personally. Everybody has their problems, their physical pains, but these can be lessons for our like the kind of lifestyle that we grew up in. And if you're not satisfied with your life as it is, like there are things that you can do to fix it. There can be 1,000 excuses, but to actually instead of looking at it and saying, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that," instead say, "What can I do?" So it's just a reminder of what my dad said. Don't let them ever tell you what you can't do. So, hey, we're going to leave it there. If you love this content, like, comment, subscribe. Like new episodes every Monday. And we're going to come back for one more part with sort of like a lessons learned. And basically ask some wisdom from Eli, who has gotten to train a lot of people, has overcome so much in his life, and maybe give you guys something that you can start working on and start doing right now. So, love you guys. We'll see you next time.